The immigration crisis has become a pawn in the face-off between Texas Governor Rick Perry versus the senator from Kentucky, Rand Paul. I'm not talking a future Republican primary for president. I'm talking about the current online war of words and ideology between the two men. This is what Rand Paul just wrote about Rick Perry in Politico. He said there are obviously many important events going on in the world right now, but with 60,000 foreign children streaming across the Texas border, I am surprised Governor Perry has apparently still found time to mischaracterize and attack my foreign policy. And then Rick Perry made his attack in the Washington Post, and he writes this: "We live in a world where isolationist policies would only endanger our national security even further. That's why it's disheartening to hear fellow Republicans such as Senator Rand Paul of Kentucky suggest that our nation should ignore what's happening in Iraq." So why are the two Republican bigwigs going after each other right now? Why is this happening? Joining me now is CNN political commentators Ana Navarro and Peter Beinart. So thank you all for joining us. Ana, as a Republican strategist, what's the better way for the GOP to follow, to follow up to help the party in 2016? Is it Perry or is it Paul? Who's a better choice here?
Are those my only two choices?
Well, the choices of
can I have a bigger pool of candidates
of what they're talking about when it comes to the immigration policy?
Look, I think it's going to be up to voters to decide. I think what you're seeing here is a preamble to be ready to rumble in the primary. Obviously, Senator Paul has has not hidden it, has not played coy. He's seriously thinking about running for president. I think Rick Perry is trying to redefine himself, rehabilitate his image from what was a very failed campaign in 2012. He got himself new glasses and he got himself a new political life. He's trying to redefine himself on the immigration issue, which was costly to him in 2012. And it's not the first time that other Republicans go after Rand Paul. We saw it with Chris Christie. Right. We've seen it between Senator Cruz and Senator Paul, and now we're seeing this. It's a fun hobby for folks.
Is it fair to call Rand Paul's position isolationist?
No, it's not, actually. I mean, if you really look at the history of American isolationism, going back to the 1920s and 1940s, anyone who agrees with America being part of NATO, keeping U.S. troops all over the world, is not really an isolationist. Now, Rand Paul is more suspicious of military intervention than Rick Perry and a lot of other Republicans, but as Paul rightly notes, so was Ronald Reagan. Ronald Reagan wouldn't even invade Panama. He was terrified by the idea of invading Panama in his final years in office. The only country he invaded was Grenada. So actually, Paul is really probably more in step with Reagan's legacy of military interventions.
Well, that's my next question, because they're trying to out-Reagan each other here. So who comes off as a better conservative, the one who is most like Reagan, if
Frankly, I think this out-Reagan shtick is getting a little old because everybody is trying it. Part of what's happening is that there is great suspicion over Senator Rand Paul on his foreign policy views. A lot of donors in particular, who are important, very important to a long sustained presidential campaign, are very uneasy about some of the positions he's espoused on foreign policy and just don't trust him on it. And I think that's why others are trying to capitalize on emphasizing those issues.
That's the key. It's about the money primary here. Actually, a lot of Republican primary voters really quite agree with Rand Paul, but Republican donors are much more hawkish than Republican voters. And so for someone like Rick Perry, who's trying to send a message to donors that he's a viable candidate, going after Rand Paul is a smart strategy.
But aren't they going after the independents here? When you hear what Rand Paul is saying, are they not going after the independents? And are they going to turn off the independents come 2016 if they decide to do that?
Nobody's going to remember come 2016 that Rick Perry and Rand Paul were arguing 2 years before. Right now, they're going after the headlines. They're going after the donors. They're going after defining their own political image.
Yeah.
That's what it's about.
Yeah, I think that's right. Look, Rick Perry needs people to take him seriously. Right now, they don't after his presidential campaign in 2012.
You have to admit the glasses have helped enormously.
The glasses are very fetching, but he's behind a whole bunch of different people who are higher up right now in people's consciousness. So any fight that gets him talked about on our show is a good thing.
What do we think? How much smarter do I look?
You should run.
Because there's at least 3 things I want to tell you about. I can remember 2. The third one I might have a little trouble with.
Remember, you're a Republican. You're not helping the man out.
He's not my candidate. Neither of the 2 are.
Thank you. These probably make me look. There's no help with me. Thank you very much. Ana Navarro, Peter Beinart. Appreciate you both here on CNN.